It's time for What's New, the show that features the latest developments in the software industry that are driving innovation today. What's New is on the air right now.
Hi, my name is Warren Wilby and I'm an ISV evangelist, and today we're here in Colorado Springs at the headquarters of Accellos. I'm here with Ross Elliott. Ross, why don't you tell everybody what Accellos does?
Thanks, Warren. We're in the business of building solutions for companies that need help in their supply chain execution. So things to manage their warehouse, that manage their transportation, that manage the management of inventory on behalf of clients, something called third-party logistics, and then wrappers around that from a business intelligence perspective.
You guys have done some really interesting stuff. I talk to ISVs all the time, and a lot of them are acquisitive, like you guys are, and they struggle with a couple things. They struggle with taking all the diverse technologies that they've bought, and find a cohesive way to bring them together as one value offering. And they also struggle with, once they have all this stuff, how do they go and do new innovation above and beyond? And you guys have done some really terrific stuff in both those areas. So I'd just like to chat about that, and then a little bit later we'll take a look at some pictures and see what you've done on the screen. So, you're acquisitive. A lot of the ISVs we deal with are acquisitive. How do you handle that challenge of bringing all the technologies together?
Thanks, Warren. I think and thanks for the kind words. The challenge you have when you're acquisitive is you wind up with a cornucopia of different technologies, and it's very difficult to have a cohesive team of people implementing them, because when you've seen one application, you've kind of seen one application. Yet, as an acquisitive company, you can't throw the baby out with the bathwater. You can't just start over again. So our goal was to build a composite framework around them using the latest in .NET tools, and basically express everything under the covers as a service, using a service-oriented architecture to expose the business logic back up into a presentation layer that was 100% .NET. And so our goal there was to give the perception of a suite of applications by making the user experience consistent, even though the business logic and the number crunching may actually be disparate technologies born out of the legacy code we've acquired.
When you say disparate technologies, are we talking, all Microsoft technologies, different flavors, different versions, or wider than that?
I think you could probably say with almost no exception we have everything. We've got Oracle technology using Oracle Forms, we've got Java, we've got Power Builder, we've got C, we've got C++, we've got Visual Basic 3, 4, 6, and .NET. We've got C#. I don't believe we have any Fortran, but if we look hard enough, we'll probably find some.
And you're using .NET and ASP.NET to bring it all together? Yeah,
our go-to strategy is using C# and all the .NET tools that surround it. And because we have smaller customers, and because IT outsourcing is important to some of these smaller customers, we wanted to keep the user interface for the go-forward application as thin as possible so that it could be easily deployed without them necessarily needing a lot of hardware. So we've gone around the whole horn using ASP.NET, using Ajax, eventually using Silverlight. We kind of sprinkle Silverlight on it today to provide some wow factor, but long-term Silverlight's the technology we'll be moving toward.
Oh, perfect. Well, let's take a look.
So what you're looking at is the new Accellos 1 architecture. This is 100% built on .NET frameworks that are out there and available in the marketplace. We're leveraging some of the capabilities of Silverlight as we build out a real-time dashboard for our customers in the supply chain world to take a look at the metrics of what's going on within their warehouse or within their transportation industry or whatever, and take advantage of what Ajax brings us from the standpoint of being able to manipulate screens without necessarily going through the whole refresh that a typical ASP would burden one would put on you. If you take a look at the rest of it, we wanted a framework where we could not only have existing applications but new applications, and to the degree possible begin to mimic rich client capability within a browser. So as you can see, we've manipulated the drag and drop capabilities. But we've also embedded, this is an actual Java application, one of our legacy apps that we bought through the acquisition process, and we can embed it, pass it credentials, make it maintain state within the framework just as if it were a brand new .NET application. It gives us the opportunity to provide functionality and capability to our customers without necessarily rewriting everything from scratch day one.
Okay, well, that new architecture is really cool, and I love the way it brings all the pieces together. I've seen so many companies struggle with that, and you've found a really nice way to use our technology to bring all the pieces together. But above and beyond bringing the pieces together, you guys have done some really neat go-forward work that I really like. The stuff that you've done with D4W is how I first came to know it. Could you explain that a little bit?
Yeah, D4W, we codenamed it Doom for Warehouse. I mean, one of our biggest areas in the market is warehousing. And we handle everything from kind of cradle to grave, from a data collection tool to a very sophisticated third-party logistics. But the one thing that none of our customers can do is visualize where things are in the warehouse, what their people are doing in the warehouse, where their equipment happen to be residing in the warehouse, optimize the labor within the warehouse. And if you look at the economy we're in today, making sure I can do more with less, both in people and in fuel costs and in equipment costs and maintenance, is important. So D4W was kind of born out of the notion of, let's visualize this kind of flat two-dimensional thing called a warehouse so we know where the products are, and we can begin to optimize things like pick paths, the motion and mobility through the warehouse, the location of equipment and its optimal use, and using things like DirectX technology from Microsoft gives us a fairly simple way of extending the .NET paradigm, because everything you saw is based on .NET, but do it in a way that's a little bit different than what most people probably have seen within a warehouse.
Well, D4W is just the project name. Have you got the go-to-market name yet?
We're calling it Accellos One Visualizer. It'll forever be known as D4W in our offices, but yeah, the commercial product name is Accellos One Visualizer. We're launching it in the fourth quarter of 2008, and we think it's going to provide some value to our customers, both new and existing, in terms of optimizing the warehouse operations.
Well, I really want to get some pictures of this because this is really fun.
So what we're looking at now is a product we call Visualizer. It solves a problem that most people probably don't even realize they have. Most folks look at inventory management and warehouse management as kind of a flat two-dimensional scenario. There's products that are located somewhere in the warehouse. We try to manage them. What the Visualizer does is actually put some dimension to the whole thing and lets you take a look at what's going on in the warehouse. And so there are lots of different potential uses for it: locating people, locating material, locating equipment. One of the simple things is to actually find the products. Oftentimes people randomly put products away in a bin, and that means that they're scattered throughout the warehouse. So by looking at the report that comes up showing us all the locations in a particular product, we can highlight it and locate it graphically within the warehouse, fly over the warehouse, and take a look at where that product's located, or send someone there to analyze it. Some of the long-term benefit we see in the use of DirectX technology in putting a business application around it is really trying to optimize the labor force within the warehouse. So optimize the pick path, the motion that someone has to go in terms of going to pick the products, optimize the hot zones, making sure we've got the right products in the right places, and then visually giving a warehouse manager the ability to see where their people are, how long it's taken for them to do a particular task, determine the guys that are not necessarily getting the work done graphically within the warehouse.
Well, Ross, thank you so much. You've done some really cool stuff. I love D4W. I think that's a really great concept. And your architecture framework, that composite architecture framework that you put together, is just incredible how it pulls together all the different technologies that you've acquired and puts it in one cohesive framework with one user look and feel. That's great. The question I always get asked when I shoot these videos is, that's all great, I'm glad that they got it done, but how did they do it? You know, where do you start? What's the starting point? So I'm going to turn that question over to you. How do you get started in stuff like this?
Well, I think the answer, Warren, is twofold. One is having good people who are creative and like to search the internet for good ideas, but probably the most important is our relationship with Microsoft. And we've leveraged the evangelist program, including yourself and the people that work for you, to get a good understanding of here's the problem we want to solve, how would you go about solving it? And then we've done a lot of investigation ourselves on top of that. But it really boils down to that it's all out there for you, and Microsoft's folks like yourselves help channel our energies in the right direction so that we don't waste a lot of valuable time.
Cool. Well, thank you very much. And thank you all. Hope you found this valuable. And everybody, have a great day.